What's up guys, Nax Tech here, and as we know on my Nexus 10 I'm now running a custom kernel called the KT Manta, and I just thought I'd do a little review on it. So the developer here actually made an app specifically for this kernel that you can control basically everything with, and it's really cool. I just wanted to go through it with you. So if we open it up here, you can see nice layout, and if we go into general, you can see the cores here, the minimum and maximum. You've got your temperature, IO scheduler, CPU governor. If you don't know what they are, you'll have to do some research. There's so many different things to learn and choose from. Basically, you can get better performance or better battery, or in the middle, you can go two ways. Now, the CPU governor here, originally it was on interactive, and I didn't like it really, so I've changed it to on demand. I prefer on demand for battery life and performance, and there we go. You can see here my maximum is set to the stock on the Nexus 10, which is 1700. This kernel does allow an overclock all the way up to 2.1 gigahertz, and I'm not going to bother really overclocking my Nexus 10 just yet, but I just want to show you what it's like. So if I push it all the way to 2 gigahertz here, so now we're running the tablet at 2 gigahertz, which is just awesome to say, right? You've got to be careful with it. Obviously with overclocking it can be dangerous and damaging, and watch my cores up here when I open something. They both went to 2 gigahertz, so I now have a 2 gigahertz tablet, and it's it's cool to have. But obviously, everything seems a lot quicker, a lot smoother and stuff, but you've got to be careful, and you will probably decrease the life of your tablet when using overclocking. So just be careful and wary about that. Another cool thing, guys, I want to show you about the governors is you can see here I've chosen my on-demand governor, and it basically ramps up the cores when it needs to and then decreases the core frequency when it doesn't need it. Well, some developers have made some really cool governors, and basically they can hot plug the cores in and out of use. So when you're not using it, it might turn one core completely offline and just use one, but then when you need it, it'll turn it back online. And there's a few governors that do this, but let me show you these ones. There's this one here that does it. I'm not going to try and pronounce these because I don't know how to say them. The one beginning with P, and then there's this KT Conservative that also does it. But let's try this one here. And we can pick it and we can just navigate around like we normally do, and you can see the cores are functioning as they normally do. Everything's nice and fluid, nice and quick. Everything's great, right? So say I look at this web page for a bit and see what happens. You can see here the second core has gone offline, and now we're only using one core. This should save battery and deliver performance when it needs to. So watch this core come back online when I start doing things. And there you go. The first core went to 1700, and then the second core kicked in. It's really cool that they've done this, so it's called hot plugging, and basically it turns the cores on and off. The performance is there when you need it, and not when it's not there. You save in battery, so it's really cool. You can see that it's gone offline again. I really like that feature, so that's another great thing to have on a custom kernel. Let's check out some other stuff. You can see here it's got voltage control. Now, if you know what you're doing with voltages, by all means, underclock and undervolt and mess around. If you don't, I suggest you leave them alone. You can seriously damage your hardware beyond repair, so be very careful. Basically, if you want to undervolt, you can grab these and pull them back, and undervolting basically is cool because you might get a little bit more battery life out of it, and you might get a little bit less heat out of your tablet so it can perform better when it needs to. Check out the extras here. You can see here you can change the screen off profile and the screen off governor, fast charging, vibration strength, swipe to wake, which basically you turn the screen off. It's a bit temperamental, I'll show you. It does drain a bit of battery, but basically if you turn the screen off, you can kind of swipe across the screen, and there you go, it'll wake it up. Like I said, it does take some battery, so I leave it disabled. Now you can see at the bottom here, thermal throttle control. Now, if you know about CPUs, basically when they get to a certain temperature, they'll throttle down just to save themselves burning up. Well, you can now change those limits. You can see currently mine's at 33 degrees. The tablet doesn't start throttling the CPU until it gets to 80. Now, you can change these numbers. You have to be very careful because you can just end up cooking your Nexus 10. You don't want to do it. You can see a big warning here. Okay, so if you're comfortable and you know what you're doing and yours is throttling and you're not happy with it in games and stuff like that, by all means try it, but please be very careful. I'm not going to bother because mine's miles away from even being throttled, so yeah, let's move away from that. But it's cool that it has it. You can see here you can set options to boot, I would suggest only doing that when you know they're stable, like undervolting or doing stuff with the CPU. Be careful, because if you set it on boot and it's not stable, you'll get a boot loop and you can't fix it unless you reflash the kernel or go back to one of your backups. You can back up your preferences to SD card, restore preferences, and load the defaults. I've been seriously happy with this kernel just running it stock. I mean, all I've done is change the governor from interactive to on demand. And let's just check out something. If you saw my previous video on Geekbench, I think the tablet scores something around 2,300, 2,400. I know it says 2.1 gigahertz there, but that's just the maximum. It won't reach that. And I'll show you Prefm on here running. And let's just run this. You can see here, we're on 1.7 gigahertz, so we're not running the overclock. Let's see the kernel tweaks and stuff like that behind the scenes, if it does any better. And look at that, guys, it does do better. It scores 2,729, which is the highest I've ever seen this tablet perform. So custom kernels, you know, they're really cool. They've got some cool tweaks behind the scenes that make it just run better. I'm sure if I overclock this to 2 gigahertz, it probably would get to the big 3,000 mark. I don't want to do that. I might do that in a different video, I don't know. But this is a really, really cool kernel, guys. And I just feel my whole Nexus 10 is a little bit more responsive, a little bit better, you know. So yeah, guys, that's the KT Manta kernel. Hope you enjoyed it. It's awesome. See you guys later.